The next category is English literature. For $200, the answer is, he wrote Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, a children's story, as well as the James Bond novels. Who is Ian Fleming? English lit for $400. This country's 1930s Civil War was the setting for Graham Greene's The Confidential Agent. What is Spain? English literature for $600, and it's a daily double, so you get to make a wager. Here is the clue. The title of this 1872 Samuel Butler novel, published anonymously, is an anagram for nowhere. What is Erewhon? English literature for $800. Mr. Lockwood, a tenant of Thrushcross Grange, narrates this Emily Bronte story. What is Wuthering Heights? English literature for $1,000, completing the category. Her first novel, Sense and Sensibility, was published 2 years before Pride and Prejudice. Who was Jane Austen? Now let's move to the next category, technology. First answer for $200. Each year, Idaho sends samples of this crop to California's Camp Pendleton to be tested for disease. What are potatoes? Technology for $400. Also called an electronic oven, it uses high-frequency electromagnetic waves to heat food. What is a microwave oven? And shame on you if you missed either one of those last two clues. Here's technology for $600. We'll get tougher now. An architectural technique called base isolation uses rubber and steel pads to absorb waves from these. What are earthquakes? Yes. Technology for $800. In 1978, the Double Eagle II became the first gas-filled craft of this type to cross the Atlantic. What is a balloon? And technology for $1,000. Some 85% of water used in the western United States is used for this purpose. What is irrigation? Speaking of irrigation, let's move on to a category called lakes and rivers. Here is our first clue for $200. If the new London Bridge in England, not Arizona, fell down, it would fall into this river. What is the Thames? Lakes and rivers for $400. To get to Paris's Notre Dame Cathedral, you have to cross a bridge over this river. What is the Seine? Lakes and rivers for $600. This lake on the Manitoba-Saskatchewan border sounds like a watering hole for Santa's sleigh team. As you might expect, what is Reindeer Lake? Lakes and rivers for $800. During the 16th century, Ivan IV claimed all of this great river's valley for Russia. What is the Volga? And we complete the category with this clue for $1,000. Though the Nile is longer, this second longest river in Africa carries more water. What is the Congo? Let's go to our next category, classical music. Here is the first clue for $200. Type of fairy that Tchaikovsky set a-dancing in The Nutcracker. What is the Sugar Plum Fairy? Classical music for $400. The Hallelujah Chorus is found at the end of Part 2 of this Handel work. What is the Messiah? Classical music for $600. Bach's set of repetitive pieces designed to show contrapuntal technique is called the art of this. What is fugue? The art of the fugue. Classical music for $800. Haydn's Symphony No. 83 is called The Hen from its clucking, and his No. 101, This, from its ticking? What is the Clock Symphony? And here's classical music for $1,000. This composer died before finishing the Tales of Hoffmann. Ernest Girard finished it. Who was Offenbach? The last category on this game board is famous students. Here's the first clue for $200. She was at UCLA on a basketball scholarship when Bob Kersey discovered her track and field talents. Who is Jackie Joyner Kersey? Now famous students for $400. At his academy, he reiterated what he'd learned from Socrates, and sometimes he adapted his ideas. Who is Plato? Famous students for $600. He studied directing at NYU under Martin Scorsese and was an absolutely marvelous student. Who is Billy Crystal? Famous students for $800. At Cornell, Gravity's Rainbow author Thomas Pynchon studied under this author of Lolita. Who was Vladimir Nabokov? And our final clue, famous students for $1,000. Mark Van Doren and Lionel Trilling both taught this howling poet when he studied at Columbia. Who is Allen Ginsberg? And now for Final Jeopardy. The category is Europe. The answer is, alphabetically, it's the first member of both the European Community and NATO. The correct response, what is Belgium? Coming up next, a great game from our 1989 teen tournament. But don't relax your concentration. The game will not be easier just because the contestants were young people. This time I'm going to move around the game board and give you the answers in the order that the tournament contestants chose them. The categories in this Jeopardy round are word origins, teen cuisine, American history, the metric system, musicals, in other words, and finally, fun stuff, with fun in quotation marks. Ready for the first clue? The category is word origins. For $300, the answer is, originally made in Nîmes, France, this fabric was called Serge de Nîmes. The correct response, what is denim? Word origins for $100. The acu in acupuncture comes from the Latin for these instruments used in acupuncture. What are needles? Let's move down one. Word origins for $200. A large tomb is called this because of the majestic one built for King Mausolus in the 4th century BC. What is a mausoleum? Let's stay in this category. Word origins for $400. This rodent's name comes from Middle French for spiny pig. What is porcupine? And completing the category, word origins for $500. From the Latinized form of his last name, a Shavian is a fan of this man. Who was George Bernard Shaw? Our teen contestants now move to the category American history, and they breezed right through it. Can you? American history for $100. The answer is, this president's 5-year-old son died in 1864 after falling from a porch in Richmond. I hope you were very careful on that clue because it was tricky. The correct response, who was Jefferson Davis? Remember, falling from a porch in Richmond. Here's American history for $200. This wild frontiersman's first and middle names were James Butler. Where Bill came from isn't known. Who was Wild Bill Hickok? American history for 300. In early New England, wearing the letter A was one punishment for this. What is adultery? American history for 400. Samuel Sewall was the only judge at these colonial trials who later repented publicly. What were the infamous Salem trials, the witchcraft trials? Let's complete the category. Here is American history for $500. In 1848, Lucretia Mott and Elizabeth Cady Stanton held the first U.S. convention to promote this. What are women's rights? Now we move to the category, the metric system. Here's the first clue for $200. Speedometers on most cars in the U.S. can be read in either miles per hour or this. What are kilometers per hour? Here are three more clues from the same category, the metric system, for $500. A group of scientists in this country set up the metric system in the 1790s. What is France? Metric system for 400. The meter was first defined as 1/10,000,000th of the distance between this point and the equator. What is the North Pole? The metric system for $300. The prefix meaning thousandfold is kilo, K-I-L-O, and the prefix meaning thousandth part is this. What is milli? Now let's go to the category fun stuff, and remember, fun is in quotation marks. For $400, the answer is, according to the commercial, the two things chewing double-mint gum can do for you. What is double your pleasure and double your fun? Let's try fun stuff for $500. Frivolously diverting activity. When you're grounded, there's no more of this famous pair, Buster. What are fun and games? No more fun and games. Here's another one for you. Fun stuff for $300. Title of the Cyndi Lauper 1984 hit, which made her a star. What is Girls Just Want to Have Fun? Now here's your first clue from the category Teen Cuisine. For $200, the answer is the best-selling diet soda in the U.S., with about 11.5% of the soft drink market. What is Diet Coke? Let's go right back to the metric system. Top of the column for $100. The answer is everyday temperature measurements in the metric system are made using this scale. What is the Celsius scale? We would also accept what is centigrade. Now we go back to Teen Cuisine for two clues. For $100, this national hamburger chain's patties are square, but the buns are still round. What is Wendy's? And Teen Cuisine for $300. A variety of Hostess Twinkies now comes with this fruit mixed with the cream filling. Have you tasted them? What is strawberry? Here's your first clue from the category musicals in other words. For $100, the answer is merry-go-round. The correct response, what is carousel? Now here are two more clues from fun stuff as we complete that category. First, fun stuff for $200. In a popular carol, the line that follows, jingle all the way. What is, oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh? And fun stuff for $100. Something that produces an enjoyment level greater than primates in a keg is said to be this. What is more fun than a barrel full of monkeys? Now we've got two more clues from Teen Cuisine. First, for $400, Ralston Purina's donut-shaped cereal sold in chocolate and glazed varieties is named for this donut chain. What is Dunkin' Donuts? And teen cuisine for $500. E.T. created a sales boom for this candy. What are Reese's Pieces? Our young contestants finished the Jeopardy game board with 4 straight clues from the category Musicals in Other Words. So let's get right to it. For $400, the answer is Greetings, Mrs. Levi. What is Hello, Dolly? Musicals in Other Words for $500. The 46th state. What is Oklahoma? Musicals in Other Words for $300. Miss Oakley, grab that firearm. What is Annie, get your gun? And the final Jeopardy answer, musicals in Other Words for $200. Felines. What is cats? All right, let's move straight ahead to our teen tournament double Jeopardy round. The categories for this one are prehistoric beasts, fiction, months, medicine, cinematic specters, and national parks. The game began with 3 clues from the category national parks. First, for $200, we had this. Lake Windermere, this country's largest lake, is located in its Lake District National Park. The correct response, what is England? Now national parks for $400. Ye gods, you'll find Olympus National Park in this country. That's an obvious one. What is Greece? Now national parks for $600. Ibex goats range in the peaks of Schweizerische National Park in this country. What is Switzerland? Our contestants then jumped to the category fiction and completed it, so we'll do the same. Fiction for $200. Number of gables in the title house of a Nathaniel Hawthorne novel. Remember the book? What is 7? Fiction for $400. In this novel, Holden Caulfield says Stradlater, his roommate, is a secret slob who shaves with a rusty razor. What is The Catcher in the Rye? Fiction for $600. Passepartout is the French valet who travels with Phileas Fogg in this Jules Verne novel. What is Around the World in 80 Days? Fiction for $8. New England State, mentioned in the title of a Mark Twain novel. He also lived there. What is Connecticut? He lived in Hartford. And finally, fiction for $1,000. Apocalypse Now was based on this author's Heart of Darkness. Who is Joseph Conrad? Now let's go back to national parks for $800. The answer is pre-Columbian cliff and cave dwellings can be found in Mesa Verde National Park in this country. What is the United States? National parks for $1,000. This country's Ujung Kulon Nature Reserve is a refuge for the Javan tiger and Javan rhino. What is Indonesia? Next, our teen contestants completed the category Cinematic Specters, and they did it without a miss. Let's see how well you do. First, for $200, the answer is, the director of this 1988 Christmas film said he wanted the wires that lifted Carol Kane to be visible. What is Scrooged? Cinematic Specters for $400. Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin haunted their own house in this 1988 hit film. What is Beetlejuice? Cinematic Specters for $600. Seen briefly in Ghostbusters, this little green guy is featured in the TV cartoon series. Who is Slimer? Cinematic Specters for $800. Steven Spielberg co-wrote and co-produced this first of 3 films about the Freeling clan's ghost trouble. What is poltergeist? Cinematic specters for $1,000 will complete the category. Her list of roles includes a mermaid, a cave woman, and in 1988's High Spirits, a ghost. Who is Daryl Hannah? Now here are 4 clues from the category called months. First for $200. This month has charm and is also an anagram of it. What is March? Months for $400. One of 2 major religions whose calendars contain months of only 29 or 30 days. What is Judaism or Islam? Now months for $600. Pronounced one way, it means majestic. Pronounced this way, it means a month. What is August? And months for $800. The first daily double. The answer is total number of days in all the months whose names end in B-E-R. You notice I'm giving you a little extra time on this one. The correct response, what is 122? Now let's try the category medicine. For $1,000, the answer is overactivity in this gland found in the neck can cause hot flashes, weight loss, and rapid heartbeat. What is the thyroid? Here's medicine for $800 as we move up. This disease, which can affect many muscles, not just those of the mouth, is also called lockjaw. What is tetanus? Here's your first clue from the category prehistoric beasts. For $1,000, the answer is all dinosaurs classed as sauropods had this number of toes on each foot, like modern lizards. What is 5? Prehistoric beasts for $800 is the second daily double, so you get a chance to make a wager again. The answer is dinosaurs lived during this era, the age of reptiles. What is the Mesozoic era? Now we go back to medicine for $400. This worm lives in beef muscle and can infest the human intestinal tract. What is a tapeworm? Here's medicine for $600. Gingivitis is an inflammation of this part of the body caused by poor nutrition or hygiene. What are the gums? Now let's go back to the category months to complete it. For $1,000, the answer is when the normal Roman calendar was expanded from 10 to 12 months, these were the 2 that were added. What are January and February? The last 3 clues in this Double Jeopardy round are in the category prehistoric beasts. So let's get to them. For $600, the answer is many of these flying reptiles had a wingspan about 5 times that of a bald eagle. What were pterodactyls? Prehistoric beasts for $400. The lovely Triceratops had 3 of these on its face. What are horns? And our final clue, prehistoric beasts for $200. The answer is this tyrant lizard king was the most feared meat-eater of its time. What was the Tyrannosaurus Rex? Well, now, as always, we can go right on to Final Jeopardy. Our category is state capitals, so make your wager. Here's the answer. 2 of 4 state capitals with city in their names. Did you manage to come up with 2 of these 4? What are Carson City, Jefferson City, Oklahoma City, and Salt Lake City? Let's play one more game of Jeopardy! And this one is a real challenge. It's from our 1988 Tournament of Champions. The categories for the first round are movies, British royalty, technology, Wyomingites, the piano, and in other words. Get ready to concentrate and remember to keep your responses in the form of a question. We'll start with the category technology. And by the way, our champions missed it. For $300, the answer is a 1947 book trumpeted the fact that this new invention could be used to locate thunderstorms. The correct response, what is radar? Did you get that? Well, then try this one. Technology for $400. At the touch of a button on July the 1st, 1939, this Clay Puett invention made its horse racing debut. What is the electric starting gate? Here's your first clue from the category movies. For $500, the answer is in Father Goose. He played a beachcomber who secretly spotted enemy planes during World War II. Who is Cary Grant? Now for two clues from the category British royalty. First, for $100, the answer is one historian claimed this queen secretly married one of her servants after Albert died. Who was Queen Victoria? Now British royalty for $200. She wore a Norman Hartnell gown inspired by a Botticelli painting when she married a lieutenant or lieutenant in 1947. Who is Queen Elizabeth II? Let's go back to movies now for $400. As TV reporter Kimberly Wells, she gave glowing reports in The China Syndrome. Who is Jane Fonda? And right back to British royalty for three clues in a row as we complete the category. For $300, the answer is the estate outside Paris where he lived with his duchess is now a private museum. Who was Edward VIII, better known as the Duke of Windsor? British royalty for $400 is a daily double. The answer is Argentinian polo player Hector Barrantes is her stepfather. Who is Fergie? We'll also accept Sarah Ferguson or the Duchess of York. And finally, British royalty for $500. Henry VIII was her third husband, and she married again after he died. Who was Catherine Parr? And by the way, our champion contestants missed that one also. Now let's go to the category Wyomingites for three clues. First, for $100, the answer is nickname of frontierswoman Martha Jane Canary, who was born in Missouri, lived in Wyoming, and died in South Dakota. Who was Calamity Jane? Wyomingites for $200. In 1925, Nellie Taylor Ross became the first woman to hold this office in the U.S. What is governor? And Wyomingites for $600. He spent time in Wyoming, though his most famous novel is The Virginian. Who was Owen Wister? Now for your first clue in the category the piano. For $500, the answer is the Oscar-winning short, The Music Box, featured this pair moving a piano up a steep hill. Who are Laurel and Hardy? Let's go right back to Wyomingites for two more clues as we complete that category. Wyomingites for $400. This Wyoming-born abstract expressionist painted with his canvas on the floor. Who was Jackson Pollock? Wyomingites for $500. A Wyoming National Forest is named for this mountain man who helped map the Oregon Trail. Who was Jim Bridger? Here's another clue from the category movies. For $100, the answer is, this road warrior became a lethal weapon in 1987. Who is superstar Mel Gibson? Now for 3 straight clues from the category the piano. For $400, the answer is, the 3 main kinds of upright pianos are the studio, the console, and this. What is the spinet? Piano for $300. This 135-year-old company keeps a constant bank of about 600 concert grands around the world. What is Steinway? The piano for $200. 2 different TV movies about this pianist and piano collector played on consecutive Sundays in 1988. Who was Liberace? Here's your first clue from the popular category, In Other Words. For $300, the answer is, rein in one's palominos. What is Hold Your Horses? Now we go back to the movies for 2 clues. First, for $200. In 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, James Mason played this slightly screwy sub-skipper. Who is Captain Nemo? And same category, movies, this time for $300. Richard Burton had a devil of a time directing himself in the film version of this Marlowe tragedy. What is Dr. Faustus? Now back to In Other Words for 3 more clues. First, for $400, the answer is, toss one's loaves onto aquatic environments. What is cast your bread upon the waters? In other words, for $500, the answer is buffoon's utopia. What is a fool's paradise? In other words, for $200, the answer is entirely well attired without any destination. What is all dressed up and no place to go? Now, 3 clues from the category technology as we complete it. Technology for $500. The reason the transistor was invented was to make this piece of equipment work better. What is a telephone or a telephone switcher? Technology for $100, the other end of the column. The answer is term for a moving stairway. It was originally a trademark of the Otis Elevator Company. What is an escalator? If you play the piano, you will probably have no trouble with the last clue in that category. The piano for $100. The answer is the keys at both ends of the standard piano keyboard are this color. What is white? And we would also have accepted what is ivory. Last clue in the Jeopardy round is from the category In Other Words, and it's worth $100. It is, it's impossible to be victorious at every attempt. The correct response, what is, you can't win them all. You will have to concentrate even harder for this one. The categories are 19th century women, cooking, animals, world cities, A in literature, and the A is in quotation marks, which means that each correct response will begin with that letter of the alphabet. And finally, we have signs and symbols. Our champions began the game board with the category signs and symbols, and they started right in the middle of the column. So, for $600, the answer is, in the talk book, Dr. Gerald Goodman figures 25% of all we say is followed by this punctuation mark. What is a question mark? Now for 19th century women, also for $600. The answer? This famous 19th century beauty had 4 husbands, including a bigamist, but she never married Jim Brady. Who was Lillian Russell? Let's go to 2 clues from the category World Cities. For $200, the answer is, if you receive a Rhodes Scholarship, you'll have to hit the road to this city. What is Oxford? World Cities for $400. It's the most famous industry of the Netherlands town of Edam. What is cheese making? Our champions then jumped back to the category 19th century women, and for $800 they listened to this clue. In 1893, this Sunday school teacher was the most notorious woman in Fall River, Massachusetts. Who was Lizzie Borden? 19th century women for $1,000. This abolitionist was born into slavery in New York, and the first language she spoke was Dutch. Who was Sojourner Truth? Here's another clue from World Cities. For $600, the answer is, though Amman used to be named this, it wasn't home to a Jordanian bandstand TV show. The correct response this time, what is Philadelphia? 3 clues now from the category A in literature. And remember, the correct responses all begin with the letter A. The first one is our first daily double. A in literature for $600. Set in the Forest of Arden, this comedy has more songs than any other Shakespeare play. What is As You Like It? A in literature for $800. The answer, Robin Hood's hyphenated henchman. Who is Alan Adale? A in literature for $1,000. Booth Tarkington book, which ends as the title character enters the stairway to Frink's Business College. Who is Alice Adams? Now here's another clue from the category Signs and Symbols. For $1,000, the answer is, in a chemical equation, this symbol denotes a substance has escaped as a gas. The symbol? What is an arrow? And our champions missed that one. Now for your first 2 clues from the category Cooking. For $600, the answer is, to make pumpernickel, use the dark flour of this grain. What is rye? Cooking for $800. It's the difference between a boiled potato and a parboiled one. What is the parboiled one is not fully cooked. Now we'll complete the category World Cities. World Cities for $800 was our second daily double, and it provides you with an opportunity to make another wager. The answer is, considered the home of Japanese drama, especially puppet theater, it's Japan's 3rd largest city. What is Osaka? World Cities for $1,000. If you take a case to the Swiss Supreme Court, you have to go to this French-speaking city near Geneva. What is Lausanne? Now for 2 clues that will complete the category 19th century women. First, for $200, the answer is, Catherine Booth designed the bonnet worn by women in this semi-military group founded by her husband. What is the Salvation Army? 19th century women for $400. The answer is, British soldiers wounded in the Crimean War called her the Lady with the Lamp. Who was Florence Nightingale? Now another clue from the category Signs and Symbols. For $800, the answer is, the symbol for this appeared twice on May 1988 sky charts, and it happened again in 1990. What is a full moon? Here are our first clues from the category Animals. Our players started at the bottom, and so for $1,000 the answer is caimans are most closely related to these animals. You had to be careful on this one. The correct response, what are alligators? We'll stay with this same category, animals, and this time the clue is worth $800. In Canada, the population of these tufted-eared wildcats depends on the population of snowshoe rabbits. What are lynxes? Now here's another cooking clue. For $1,000, the answer is an Italian dish of veal shanks cooked with white wine, olive oil, spices, tomatoes, and a few anchovies. This was another one our champions missed. The correct response, what is ossobuco? Now we go back to animals, as they did, for $600. Some of these birds have bald heads and necks, which prevents feather damage when eating from carcasses. What are vultures? Here's another clue from A in Literature. It's worth $400. The answer is poem about a maiden who lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. Who is Annabel Lee? Signs and symbols now for $400. A road sign showing the back of a car with two wavy lines trailing from it stands for this. What is slippery when wet? Let's go back to animals now for $400. The answer is the World Wildlife Fund is working with the Chinese on a detailed survey of pandas and this, their only food. What is bamboo? Let's try cooking for $400. Be alert when you heat oil for frying because once it reaches the point when it does this, it decomposes. What is when it smokes? Cooking again for $200. If a recipe calls for blanching apples, it's so that you can remove this more easily. What is the skin? Now an easy clue from A in Literature for $200. He's a weak-willed king in the Old Testament or a whaler captain in Moby Dick. Who is Ahab? Let's complete the signs and symbols category for $200. The two pieces of silverware on the traditional sign for a restaurant. What are a knife and fork? And the final clue in the Double Jeopardy round comes from the category animals. For $200, the answer is pet owners often buy their dogs and cats a special collar to protect them from fleas and these arachnids. What are ticks? And now we go on to Final Jeopardy. Our category is the Civil War, one of our most popular categories, so make your wager. And here is your Final Jeopardy answer. The bloodiest single day of fighting in the Civil War took place in this state. The correct response? What is Maryland? Well, you have just played some of the most challenging games of Jeopardy ever devised. And by this time, you may be a championship caliber player. Perhaps one day I'll see you in our television studio as a contestant. I hope so. So long, and thank you so much for playing Jeopardy with us.